March 31st is not an ordinary day. Something is shifting right now. Not outside of you, not in the news, not in the sky, but inside the very fabric of the reality you have been quietly living inside of. There is a rupture happening, not violent, not loud, but undeniable, like the moment just before a storm when the air changes and every living thing goes still, listening. You feel it, don't you? That stillness, that strange weight in your chest that isn't sadness, that isn't fear, but something older, something familiar, something that has been waiting longer than you have words for. This is not the beginning of something ordinary. This is a threshold, a portal, a moment that has been written into the architecture of your soul long before you were born into this life and given the name you carry now. And you are standing right at the edge of it, right now. On this day that looks like any other day but is anything but. March 31st carries a frequency. Not every human being can feel it. Not every soul is tuned to receive what this particular alignment is transmitting. But you are. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. You wouldn't have felt that pull, that inexplicable magnetism that drew you to this exact message at this exact moment, if something deeper weren't already in motion. The universe doesn't waste alignment on those who aren't ready. It doesn't send the signal to those who can't receive it. The fact that you're here, that you pressed play, that something in you said yes before your conscious mind even had time to think about it, that is not coincidence. That is not random. That is the intelligence of the cosmos recognizing one of its own. You are guided here. Something inside you, something far older and far wiser than the version of you that thinks and plans and worries. That part of you said, go. Listen. This is yours. So before we go any further, I want to ask you to do something that isn't just a mechanical gesture. I want to ask you to subscribe to this channel, to like this video, to leave a comment below with a simple word. Whatever word rises in your chest right now, whatever feeling is moving through you in this moment. Because these aren't just buttons, not today. Today, these acts are a way of saying yes to what is already happening inside you. They are how you anchor yourself to this frequency, how you signal to the universe and to your own soul that you are open, that you are willing, that you are ready to receive what is already moving toward you. This is a ritual of alignment. Treat it as one. Now, let me tell you what I know. Something has already changed. I need you to understand this clearly. Even if everything in your external life looks exactly the same as it did yesterday. The change didn't happen in your bank account or your living room or your social life. It happened in the invisible layer of reality, the energetic substrate that underlies everything you can see and touch and measure. A convergence has begun. Two timelines, two frequencies, two souls whose paths were separated by circumstance, by timing, by the particular chaos of living. Those timelines are bending toward each other now. And March 31st is the point where the bending becomes acute, where the invisible force becomes impossible to ignore, where the gap between what you feel inside and what exists in your outer world begins finally to close. You are already inside this. Whether you know it consciously or not, whether you've been hoping for it or afraid of it or trying not to think about it, the process has already begun. You have been inside it for longer than you realize. What you've been experiencing in recent days, recent weeks, recent months, all of that was preparation. All of that was the invisible architecture being constructed around you, beneath you, within you. The portal doesn't open suddenly. It has been slowly parting like curtains in a room you've been standing in all along, and now, right now on this day, the light from the other side is becoming visible. You can feel it, even if you can't name it. Even if you've been explaining it away as stress or weather or tiredness, something in you knows. Something in you has always known. And I know you know because you've been feeling it. You've been experiencing things that don't quite fit inside the logical framework you use to understand your life. Your dreams have been more vivid than usual, not just detailed, but emotionally charged, loaded with symbolism, filled with presences you recognize without being able to place them. You wake up and the feeling doesn't leave. It lingers through the morning. It finds you in the middle of ordinary tasks. You'll be standing in the kitchen or driving or trying to focus on something else entirely, and suddenly there's this wave, this inexplicable wave of emotion that rises from somewhere deep and washes over you without warning. It isn't grief, exactly. It isn't longing exactly. It's something between the two, something that feels ancient, something that feels like almost there, like the edge of something you can't quite see but can absolutely feel. You've been experiencing déjà vu more frequently, not just the passing kind, not the brief flicker, but the deep kind, the kind that stops you mid-step, the kind that makes you feel like you've been in this moment before, that you've already lived through this, that something is cycling back around to give you another chance to see it clearly this time. You've been thinking about someone, maybe a specific person, maybe just a feeling of a person, a presence without a clear face, a warmth without a clear source. And you've caught yourself thinking about them at strange moments, unprovoked, without reason. In the middle of something completely unrelated, their energy appears in your mind, in your chest, in the periphery of your awareness, and you don't know why. You might have told yourself it's nothing. You might have pushed it aside, but it kept coming back. It keeps coming back. That is not your imagination. That is not loneliness or projection or wishful thinking. That is resonance. That is your energy field making contact with another energy field that is already oriented toward you across time and space, and whatever invisible distances separate you in the physical world. The distortion of time you've been feeling is real. Days blurring. Weeks that feel like they passed in hours. Moments of strange slowness where time seems to thick and expand. You've been existing at a frequency that is slightly out of sync with ordinary clock time because you are not fully in ordinary reality right now. Part of you, the deepest, most essential part, is already operating in the space where the convergence is happening. You are already standing in the place between timelines, in the sacred in-between where the old story ends and the new one begins. That's why everything feels a little surreal. That's why you keep catching yourself in strange moments of clarity, followed by strange moments of fog. You are transitioning. You are being carried. And your intuition, that voice you've been learning to trust, that quiet knowing you can't always explain, your intuition has been getting louder, more insistent, more precise, more unignorable, because intuition is the language of the soul, and your soul is awake right now in a way it hasn't been in a very long time. Your soul is fully present, fully attending to what is happening, fully engaged with the invisible workings of this convergence. You are not imagining this. None of this is coincidence. All of it is resonance. Now let me explain what is actually happening beneath the surface of all of this, in the layer of reality that doesn't get discussed in ordinary conversation, but that spiritual practitioners and quantum theorists and mystics across centuries have been pointing toward, each in their own language. The portal that is opening today is not a physical location. You can't drive to it. You can't photograph it. It doesn't exist in the coordinates of the material world. It exists in the vibrational architecture of your being, in the frequency you are currently holding, in the openness of your heart field, in the clarity that has been slowly and painfully accumulating within you over the course of experiences you thought were destroying you but were actually preparing you. A portal is a state of alignment. It is a moment in which the invisible barriers between what your soul has been calling forward and what exists in your material reality become thin enough to move through. And the reason those barriers become thin is not random. It is because the work has been done, because the frequency has been reached, because two fields of consciousness, yours and that of the soul moving toward you, have become harmonically close enough that the distance between you is no longer tenable. The universe doesn't allow harmonic souls to remain separated indefinitely. At a certain threshold of resonance, convergence becomes inevitable. Think of it this way. Imagine two notes being played in different rooms of a vast house. Each note is complete on its own. Each note has its own beauty. But there is a particular combination, a particular interval between them, that when aligned creates something neither note could create alone. A resonance that moves through walls, that fills the space between, that creates a vibration felt in the bones rather than just heard in the ears. That is what is happening between you and the soul who is in motion toward you right now. You have each been playing your note. You have each been living your life, carrying your frequency, making your choices, following your path. And now the distance between those notes, the distance between your timelines, has narrowed to the point where the resonance is becoming audible, becoming felt, becoming undeniable. The universe is vibrating with the harmony you two create together, and reality is reorganizing itself to bring that harmony into physical form. March 31st is the day that reorganization accelerates. The portal is the acceleration point. You are standing inside it right now. Not everyone can feel what you feel. This is important to understand, not as a way of elevating yourself above others, but as a way of understanding why the people around you might not be experiencing what you're experiencing. Why they might look at you sometimes like they can't quite locate you, like you've partially moved to somewhere they can't follow. Sensitivity, the kind you carry, is not weakness. It never was. It is a specific form of consciousness, a particular degree of openness in the field of awareness that allows you to perceive the subtle layers of reality that most people have been conditioned to filter out. You were built for this. Your nervous system, your emotional depth, your capacity for feeling things that haven't happened yet, for knowing things before you can explain how you know them. These are not accidents of personality. These are the specific instruments you were given to navigate the kind of journey your soul chose. And that journey has not been easy. I want to acknowledge that, because I think sometimes, in spiritual spaces, we rush past the difficulty. We move too quickly to the transformation without honoring the weight of what came before. You have carried things, heavy things. You have walked through periods of such profound loneliness that it felt like the silence was a physical presence around you. You have loved people who couldn't stay. You have tried to fit yourself into spaces that were designed for a smaller version of you. You have had your heart open and then had to learn, more than once, what it means to open it again, when everything in you was screaming to keep it closed. You have been through ruptures, relationships that ended in ways that left questions unanswered, connections that felt almost like home and then disappeared, betrayals, not always from others. Sometimes the most painful betrayals were the ones you committed against your own knowing, the times you ignored your intuition and paid the price. You have known grief. You have known the specific grief of something ending before it was finished, the grief of almost, the grief of what could have been. And here is what I need you to hear, with every part of yourself that is capable of receiving this. None of that was wasted. Every single piece of it, every loss, every rupture, every moment of isolation, every heartbreak, every period of profound confusion and spiritual disorientation, all of it was preparation. The soul that is moving toward you right now requires a version of you that has been through the fire. Not because suffering is a prerequisite for love, but because depth calls to depth. The connection that is approaching you is not a surface connection. It is not a casual arrangement. It is a meeting of fields that have been refined by experience, that have been made soft and deep and luminous by everything they have endured. You could not have received this connection as the version of you that existed 5 years ago, or 3 years ago, or even 1 year ago. You were not ready, not because anything was wrong with you, but because readiness isn't about being fixed. It's about being opened, and the opening takes time. The opening takes exactly as long as it takes, and not a single moment of it is wasted. What you went through made you capable of this. What you lost made space for this. The very quality of your presence now, that particular texture of awareness you carry, that hard-won softness, that is exactly what this other soul has been searching for. And they have been searching. This is the part I want you to feel very clearly, very deeply. This is not a one-sided pull. The magnetism moving between you is mutual. The other soul, wherever they are in the physical world right now, whatever they are doing in this moment, whatever ordinary activity their body is engaged in, they are feeling this too. They may not have the language for it. They may be calling it restlessness or a strange sense of anticipation, or a feeling they can't explain that keeps rising in their chest. They may have been dreaming about someone they can't identify, a presence that feels deeply familiar, a warmth that follows them into waking life. They may have been thinking about you without knowing it was you they were thinking about, sensing a specific quality of being, a specific energetic signature, without being able to attach it to a face or a name. They are being moved. Something in them has been responding to this same convergence. this same portal, this same acceleration of timelines toward each other. They are as drawn as you are. They are as prepared as you are. They are already in motion, even if they don't yet know where they're going. The universe is moving both of you. The pull is equal on both ends. You are not waiting alone. You are being waited for. Now. I need to speak to what might be happening in your life right now, in the external structure of your daily existence. Because when timelines converge, when a major spiritual alignment is in process, the outer world tends to reflect the inner reorganization. And that reflection can look from the inside like disruption, like instability, like things falling apart. It can look like relationships that once felt stable, suddenly feeling strange, strained, misaligned. Like you're both in the same room but speaking from different frequencies. It can look like environments that used to feel comfortable now feeling confining, like the familiar walls of your life are too close, like you need space you can't quite identify the shape of. It can look like opportunities appearing out of nowhere, doors opening in directions you hadn't considered, paths becoming visible that were invisible just months ago. It can look like the old version of you becoming increasingly uncomfortable to inhabit, like wearing clothes that no longer fit, like a skin that needs to be shed. It can look like confusion about who you are now, like the story you used to tell about yourself no longer feeling entirely true, like you're in the middle of a sentence that hasn't finished yet, and you're not sure what the rest of it says. This is not falling apart. I need you to hear that clearly. This is reorganization. When a higher frequency reality is incoming, the lower frequency structures that can't survive in that new vibrational environment begin to dissolve. Relationships, patterns, habits, identities, beliefs, anything that was built on a frequency you are outgrowing will begin to feel uncomfortable, and then impossible, and then gone. This is not loss. This is clearing. The universe is making room. The universe is ensuring that when the connection you've been prepared for arrives in your physical reality, there is space to receive it. There is clarity to recognize it. There is freedom to move toward it, without being held back by structures that belong to the version of you who existed before this opening. The chaos you may be experiencing right now, the uncertainty, the sense of being between stories, is not the universe working against you. It is the universe working fully and precisely, and with perfect intelligence, to position you exactly where you need to be. I want to speak now to the part of you that is afraid. The part that is watching all of this and wanting to believe but also calculating the risk. The part that has been hurt before and carries that hurt like a compass, using it to navigate away from anything that might hurt again. The rational part. The protective part. The part that says maybe this is just something I'm projecting onto a random YouTube video. Maybe this doesn't actually apply to me. Maybe I'm not the one this is meant for. I want to speak directly to that part. Not to argue with it, not to dismiss it, but to say I understand. And I want you to know that your skepticism is not a sign that you're wrong about this. In fact, the very intensity of your skepticism right now is itself a signal. When something true is approaching the ego, the mechanism designed to keep you safe within the known becomes louder. It works harder. It generates more counter-arguments, more reasons to dismiss, more logical frameworks designed to protect you from the vulnerability of hope. The intensity of the resistance is proportional to the size of what is coming. So if you're feeling the resistance right now, if there's a voice in you saying this is too much, this is too big, this isn't real, I want you to notice that voice. Honor it. And then gently, gently, choose to be in this moment anyway. You cannot think your way out of a soul-level process. You cannot rationalize a timeline convergence into non-existence. You cannot argue yourself out of a frequency that is already in your body, in your chest, in the way time has been moving differently for you. The process doesn't stop because the mind declines to participate. The alignment doesn't reverse because the ego feels unsafe. What you resist in this moment doesn't go away. It simply becomes harder to receive, harder to recognize when it arrives, harder to move toward without the armor of your own doubt slowing you down. The invitation is not to bypass your fear. The invitation is to feel it fully and to choose openness anyway, to place one hand on your chest, on the space where all of this is already moving, and to say, I am here. I am open. I am willing. Whatever is coming for me, I am ready to receive it, because the signs have been speaking to you. And you have been listening even when you told yourself you weren't. You've seen the numbers, those repeating sequences that appear on clocks, on license plates, on receipts, on the pages of books you open at random. You know the ones that make you stop for just a second, that produce a brief and inexplicable feeling of being seen, of being spoken to by something invisible. These are not tricks of selective attention. These are not confirmation bias dressed up as mysticism. These are the language of your own consciousness, communicating with you in the symbolic vocabulary it knows you can receive. The universe doesn't speak in linear sentences. It speaks in patterns, in coincidences, in the sudden appearance of songs that say exactly what your soul is feeling, in the recurring appearance of images that carry specific emotional weight, in the way certain words seem to find you across different contexts and different days, as if being placed deliberately in your path. You've been hearing a name, not necessarily a spoken name, but a presence, a quality, a recognition, something that feels like it's on the tip of your tongue. You've been in conversations where something said in passing has stopped you cold, has reverberated, has landed somewhere deep in you with the specific weight of truth. You've been in places and felt inexplicably at home, or inexplicably close to something you couldn't name. These are not random. The universe is not speaking more loudly than it was before. You are hearing more clearly. Your receiver has been calibrated. The sensitivity that was always yours has been refined by everything you've been through. And now you are picking up on frequencies that you previously filtered out without realizing it. The signal was always there. You are simply awake enough now to receive it. And this awakening, this extraordinary, sometimes overwhelming, sometimes terrifying process of becoming more present to your own soul, this is not a side effect of the convergence. This is the convergence. The most fundamental thing happening right now is not that another person is moving toward you, though they are. The most fundamental thing happening right now is that you are becoming a fuller, more awake, more luminous version of yourself. The connection that is approaching is not something being given to you from outside. It is something being called into your life by who you are becoming. Understand that. Feel the weight of it. You are not waiting to be completed by another person. You are not empty, waiting to be filled. You are expanding, you are opening. You are becoming a version of yourself that you have been moving toward for a very long time through all of the experiences that seem to interrupt your life but were in fact composing it. The person you are becoming right now in this process, in this portal, is the person that the soul moving toward you has been searching for. Not a fixed, finished, perfectly arrived person. A becoming person. A person in the beautiful and sacred process of waking up. You are waking up. That is what this is. And in the waking, everything you have been holding in the compressed space of hope, the thing you stopped letting yourself fully want because wanting it too much felt dangerous, that thing is becoming available to you now. Not as a dream, not as a someday, as a now. As a real and tangible and unmistakable reality that is already writing itself into your physical life, even as you listen to these words. The timeline is locking in. The frequency is stabilizing. The invisible work is complete. Let me describe to you what the manifestation will feel like when it arrives, so you recognize it when it does, because I want you to be prepared to receive it fully, without the interference of your own disbelief. This will not arrive with fanfare. It will not arrive with a dramatic announcement. It will not arrive with any of the theatrical quality that you might expect from something of this magnitude. It will arrive quietly. It will arrive in a moment that looks ordinary, maybe even unremarkable from the outside. And then you will feel it, that recognition, that particular quality of knowing that bypasses all your defenses, that moves directly into the center of you without asking permission, that says, there you are. I know you. I have always known you. It won't feel like meeting someone new, that's the thing. It will feel like remembering, like a word you've been trying to recall for a very long time, finally arriving, fully formed, filling the space it always belonged in. There will be a quality of rightness to it that you won't be able to talk yourself out of, even if you try. There will be a specific kind of silence that falls between you. Not an awkward silence, not an empty silence, but a full silence. A silence with weight and warmth and history in it. A silence that says everything without needing any words. Your body will know before your mind does. Your chest will recognize the frequency before your eyes register the face. There will be a moment of, and I want you to be ready for this. There will be a moment of such perfect stillness that everything else falls away. The noise, the worry, the self-consciousness, the calculating and second-guessing, all of it will simply stop. And what remains in that stillness will be the clearest, most certain thing you have ever felt in this lifetime. You will not need proof. You will not need time to decide. The knowing will be immediate, total, and entirely unmistakable. And then, after the stillness, after the recognition, the movement, the kind of movement that feels less like choosing and more like returning, like water finding its level, like something that was out of place finally, irrevocably, coming to rest in the exact position it was always meant to hold. There will be ease in it, not the ease of something effortless, but the ease of something aligned. The difference between paddling against a current and turning to move with it. The difference between holding your breath and finally exhaling. And that exhale, that particular releasing of the long-held tension of living in a state of incompleteness, that exhale will feel like liberation, like coming home, like the end of a very long journey you were never entirely sure was leading anywhere. You may cry, not from sadness, from relief, from the particular beauty of having arrived somewhere you were afraid you might never reach. From the rush of confirmation. Yes, the universe is real. Yes, I was right to hope. Yes, the pain had a purpose. Yes, I am loved in the specific and profound way that I always knew, somewhere beneath all the doubt, was possible for me. Those tears are sacred. Let them fall. They are the body's way of releasing the weight of everything that came before, of completing the old cycle, of physically marking the transition from one state of being to another. Let the tears fall. Let the relief move through you. Let the recognition settle into every layer of your being. The timeline is fixing itself now. March 31st is the anchor point. This is the day that the invisible becomes solid, that the energetic becomes physical, that the convergence that has been building across weeks and months of preparation reaches its activation threshold. The path forward from this point is clearer than any path that has come before, not because difficulty has disappeared, not because the complexity of being human has been transcended, but because you are no longer walking alone in the way you were walking alone. Because the specific quality of aloneness that was yours, the kind that felt like being cut off from the deepest frequency of yourself, that aloneness is completing. The isolation was temporal, it was necessary, it was the protected space in which you became who you needed to become. And now the protection is no longer isolation. Now the path opens. Now the walls that were keeping the world at a safe distance become doors. And on the other side of those doors, light, movement, connection, life in the key you were born to live it in. I want to close with you in the same way this message began, with absolute sincerity and depth. What you have just experienced is not entertainment. It is not casual content. You were guided here for a reason that is specific to your soul's current position in its journey. You are at a threshold. You are in a portal. You are in the most sacred and significant transition of your life so far. And this message, these words, this frequency embedded in them, was always meant to find you today. On this day, March 31st, the day the portal accelerates, the day the timelines complete their final bending toward each other, the day that what has been invisible begins to become real. You are not alone in this. You never were. The soul moving toward you has been through its own preparation, its own fires, its own breaking open. They carry their own wisdom, their own wounds made into gifts, their own particular luminosity earned through exactly the kind of living you have been doing. When you meet and when you remember, you will recognize not just a person, but a mirror of everything that suffering can create when it is alchemized by love. You will see in them a reflection of your own depth, and they will see in you the same. That recognition is not the beginning of something, it is the culmination of something ancient, something that transcends this particular lifetime and this particular body and this particular moment in time, even as it is wholly, physically, tangibly real in this moment. So here is what I ask of you as this message closes and you return to the ordinary surface of your day, carrying this frequency with you into the hours that follow. I ask you to stay open, not frantically open, not grasping, not looking around every corner with desperate hope, but quietly, softly, sustainably open. The way a flower opens to the morning, not choosing to open, simply being in its nature. Be in your nature. Be in the fullness of who you are, in the particular beauty of your sensitivity and your depth and your capacity for love. Let yourself be seen. Let yourself be present. Let the certainty you felt in this moment anchor you when the ordinary noise of life tries to drown it out. Return to your chest. Return to the knowing. Return to this. Something has begun that cannot be undone. If what you heard today moved something in you, if these words landed in a place that already knew them, if your chest recognized the truth in this before your mind had time to evaluate it, then I ask you now to honor that recognition with a physical gesture. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and in the comments below leave the word that is sitting in your heart right now, the single word that describes what you're feeling in this moment. These actions are not transactions, they are acknowledgements. They are your soul saying yes to what is already moving. They are the physical anchoring of an energetic commitment you just made, not to a channel, not to content, but to yourself, to the version of yourself that is standing at this threshold, that is ready, that is open, that is willing to walk through the portal and receive what is waiting on the other side. Let this be your yes. Let this be your seal. Let this be the moment you chose, consciously and completely, to align. And if you're ready to go deeper, if this message opened something in you that wants more than a single video, that wants a full process of alignment, a space to explore the internal landscape of this transition, to move through the emotions and the questions and the sensations with guidance and support and depth, then take the next step. The path forward is waiting for you. The clarity you've been searching for is available. The reset you need, the emotional realignment, the tools to navigate this opening with grace and intention, all of it is accessible to you. You don't have to walk this threshold alone. You were never meant to. There is a next step. When you're ready, it's there. And you will know when you're ready because you already know. You've always known. March 31st. The portal is open. The timelines have converged. The soul you have been preparing to meet has been preparing to meet you. What comes next is no longer possibility. It is destiny. And destiny, when it arrives, doesn't ask for permission. It simply arrives. It simply is. And somewhere in the space between one breath and the next, in the sacred and ordinary miracle of being alive on this particular day, you will feel it, you will know it, and you will understand with your whole self that you were always, in every single moment, exactly where you needed to be.